You're listening to the WrestleHavoc Podcast on YouTube, where we discuss everything in and outside of the squared circle. We talk all that goes on in the realm of WWE and AEW every week. And now, here's your host, the one that will give you a reality check on pro wrestling, Flamin' Ricky DeReyes. This is the WrestleHavoc Podcast.
What's up, everybody? It is Flamin' Ricky DeReyes right here on the WrestleHavoc Podcast, here to review Monday Night Raw from July 3rd, 2023. We got a lot of things to talk about right here on the Raw review. Of course, it is the fallout from this past Saturday's Money in the Bank pay-per-view event. Of course, the intertensions are continuing with Finn Balor and Damian Priest. Shayna Baszler explains her actions with, of course, Ronda Rousey after turning on Ronda Rousey at Money in the Bank. And it's safe to say that Shayna Baszler said a lot of truth in that promo. Of course, we had Dominik Mysterio versus Seth Rollins in the main event, as well as Rhea Ripley versus Natalya for the Women's World Championship, which, if you think about it, was actually surprisingly a very good match, but it doesn't take away what I've always believed about this feud that, Rhea Ripley and Natalya had. It's basically a nothing feud that made Natalya look stupid. They did try to make Natalya look strong in this match, and it was a great match, and it was probably the best thing that they did. But let's be real here. I think WWE should just move on from that feud. But we'll be talking about more of that right here on the Raw review. Of course, before I get on with all this craziness regarding Monday Night Raw, make sure to like and subscribe to the WrestleHavoc Podcast right here on YouTube, in which we discuss everything in and outside of the squared circle. Make sure to like and subscribe for more content. And as the freaking referee would say, ring, ring, ring that damn bell for more notifications. Of course, if you guys had missed it, the Money in the Bank pay-per-view is up on the channel. Of course, I talk about the Bloodline Civil War as Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa takes on Jimmy and Jey Uso. Absolutely phenomenal match. Probably one of the best matches of the entire year. And of course, it was the match where Roman Reigns suffered his first pinfall in almost 3 years, or almost 4 years if you really think about it. In almost 3 years or 4 years, or 3.5 years, whatever you want to call it. But Roman Reigns suffered his first pinfall by none other than Jey Uso. Of course, the right-hand man, of course, the guy that was supposed to be the next tribal chief. But we talk about all this and much more on the Money in the Bank review. We talk about the Bloodline Civil War. We talk about the Money in the Bank ladder matches and everything else that escalated in Money in the Bank. So if you guys haven't checked out the Money in the Bank review, the link will be in the description below. Also, the AEW Collision review is up on the channel. Yes, I did cover AEW Collision. I talk about the Owen Hart Cup tournament continuing. I talk about we had matches like Roderick Strong and Samoa Joe. We had Powerhouse Hobbs versus Dustin Rhodes. We had a lot of things going on, primarily regarding the Owen Hart Foundation tournament. And, of course, this Saturday on Collision, we're going to be getting CM Punk versus Samoa Joe. So that's going to be very, very, very exciting. But if you guys haven't checked out the AEW Collision review, the link will be in the description below. All right. Oh, my God. I am on the wrong... there we go. So, yeah. Let's get on with Monday Night Raw. All right. Seth Rollins kicks off Monday Night Raw. The crowd is, of course, singing his song. Of course, they are in Baltimore, Maryland. Welcome to Monday Night Rollins, says Seth Rollins. He talks about how he is the visionary, the revolutionary. He is Seth freaking Rollins. Baltimore, you sound so sweet. How sweet was Money in the Bank? Jey Uso handed Roman Reigns his first pinfall defeat in 3.5 years. You'll love to see it. We got a new Miss Money in the Bank. He wishes it was Becky, but it's Io Sky. We got a new Senor in the Bank with Mr. Damian Priest. And by the skin of his teeth, he beat Finn Balor and is still standing here as the World Heavyweight Champion. But a little birdie told him that SummerSlam is only 5 weeks away and there's only one thing on his mind. And what happens? Cody Rhodes comes out with his gear and all. Cody Rhodes comes out, and he has a microphone in his hand. And, of course, Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins have history with one another. Cody Rhodes beat Seth Rollins not once, not twice, 3 times. WrestleMania, Backlash, and, of course, at Hell in a Cell. It looks like he's about to speak, And what happens is Brock Lesnar. Yes, Brock Lesnar officially makes his return after how many weeks since Night of Champions, where Cody Rhodes basically escaped Brock Lesnar. Cody Rhodes goes after Brock Lesnar as soon as Brock Lesnar walks out on the stage. He proceeds to brawl with Brock. We get a series of knee strikes by Brock, and then he takes Cody back into the ring. Seth gets out in the ring, and then Brock basically picks up Cody for the F5. Cody escapes. Cody ends up hitting the Cody Cutter on Brock. Brock Lesnar ends up retreating. And after that, Cody Rhodes just stands tall. Yes, this man hit a Cody Cutter. He was ready, dead center. And he basically made Brock Lesnar retreat. Once we're back from break, Seth Rollins was literally on the outside just looking at all the bullshit that was transpiring like, Jesus Christ, y'all be stealing my thunder and just brawling already. Seth Rollins is in the ring again. And he has the mic. And he says, well, that was a crazy way to kick off the show. But it looks like they have some unfinished business. And back to my business. He's very much looking forward to the next man in line. But one other man, or I should say one faction, immediately interrupts Seth Rollins. And, of course, it is the Judgment Day. Rhea says, that's enough about him. We all know that everybody is here for the Judgment Day taking over. Seth says everybody is watching, but they don't have everyone in their own group. Where is Finn Balor? Rhea says, Finn is fine. He isn't here tonight, and that is none of his concern. Damian Priest says he doesn't concern himself, he shouldn't concern himself with Judgment Day business because it is their own business. He needs to be concerned about his Money in the Bank contract. He knows what time it is. If he decides to cash in this Money in the Bank for his world title, it could happen anytime. It could happen at SummerSlam, Survivor Series, the Royal Rumble. Hell, it could even happen tonight. After, he beats Nakamura, he's going to be, he's going to go from being Señor Money in the Bank to El Campeón Mundial, which is basically the world champion. Seth says that there is only one problem. To cash that thing in, you have to have him beat and tired. He is fresh and daisy right now. He doesn't have a match on the card. He was going to party in Baltimore and have the people sing his song, but then Priest immediately interrupts. And, of course, Priest says he will make sure he is useless. And, of course, he asks him a question. Isn't he the guy that loves opportunities and giving, guys that give the good fight? After that, he says he hopes the people keep that energy when he beats him. And Rhea proceeds to say Dom, that being Dominik Mysterio, is looking for a fight. And then Dominik gets the microphone. And, as soon as Dominik gets the microphone, of course, there's a big-ass slew of boos by the crowd. Seth then asks Dominik, hey, try it again. Dom gets the mic, boos by the crowd. And then we get a bunch of you suck chants. And then Rhea says Dom wants to fight Seth Rollins tonight. And then Seth says, as someone who is an expert on Money in the Bank, of course, he was the first guy to cash in Money in the Bank at WrestleMania. Little note right there. After that, he says it sounds like a poor attempt at a trap, but he would love nothing more than to slap the stash off of Dom tonight. And he will let you guys decide. What do you think? Should sexy Seth Rollins beat the brakes off of Dirty Dom tonight? You got your answer. You will see them punks later. So after that, we got Damian Priest versus Shinsuke Nakamura. It was not a bad opening match, but it was a normal match if you really think about it. But the opening segment of the show, with the involvement of Brock Lesnar and Cody Rhodes, I thought that was great. Now, it looks like we're going to be getting a third match between Brock Lesnar and Cody Rhodes at this point, and apparently there's going to be some sort of stipulation. We do not know what type of match it's going to be, but apparently it's going to be maybe a bull rope match. That's what I assume it's going to be. Who knows? We're going to have to wait and see what happens. But the involvement of Brock Lesnar and Cody Rhodes, even though as much as I liked the idea of Brock Lesnar coming back on Raw, it would have been much more impactful, in my opinion, if Brock Lesnar showed up at Money in the Bank and either A, cost Brock Lesnar or cost Cody Rhodes the match, or B, attack Cody Rhodes after he beat Dominik. That's just my opinion, at least. But Seth Rollins and Judgment Day, of course, Finn Balor is nowhere to be seen. He will later on show up later on the show. But overall, it was a great opening segment to kick off the show. So we got Damian Priest versus Shinsuke Nakamura. We get a series of body shots by Priest, but then Nakamura fights back. He drives his knee onto the midsection of Priest, but then he hits a sliding kick. After that, he drives his boot onto the face of Priest, but then Priest holds on. He misses a right hand, and then we get a shoulder tackle by Priest. We then get a cover and a near fall. We then get a right hand by Priest, but then we get repeated stomps into the corner by Priest, and then he sends Shinsuke Nakamura into the corner. He picks up Shinsuke, but then he manages to escape, but then Priest misses a splash. After that, Shinsuke places Priest onto the top, and then he drives his knee on Priest. At this point, Damian Priest is on the outside, but then he later picks up Nakamura and drops him on top of the barricade. Once we're back from commercial break, Nakamura fights back on Priest. Priest misses his series of strikes, but then Nakamura drives down Priest onto the mat. Priest hits a boot, but then gets caught in between the ropes. Shinsuke ends up going for his sliding German suplex. He faces off with Rhea Ripley and Dominik Mysterio. Once we're back into the ring, we get a leg kick by Shinsuke Nakamura. We then get a cover by Shinsuke and a near fall. Shinsuke then drops down into a right by Damian Priest. After that, we get a series of right hands by Priest, and then we get a roll-up by Shinsuke. After that, we get a roll-up once again by Shinsuke, and then he transitions into an armbar, and then Priest rolls away. We then get a spinning kick by Priest, and then we get a cover and a near fall. Priest takes Shinsuke, and then he manages to pick him up. He sets up the Razor's Edge, but Shinsuke goes for the roll-up once again. We then get a near fall. Then Priest gets caught with a kick by Shinsuke, but then we get a cover and another near fall. Shinsuke then goes to the second rope, but then he drives him with the kick. Then Shinsuke tries to go for the Kinshasa, but then he misses. Priest goes for the roll-up, but we get a 1 count, so it's fine. Then Priest hits Shinsuke with a lariat, taking down Nakamura to the mat. And then he grabs Shinsuke and hits the South of Heaven chokeslam. And we get a cover, and Damian Priest gets the win. It was obvious that Damian Priest was going to get the win. They're trying to keep Damian Priest strong for when the time comes, when he eventually cashes in Money in the Bank. It's very interesting to see when he will cash in Money in the Bank because, of course, he's in this storyline with Finn Balor. And we do not know where that's going to lead to. A lot of people are saying, and I genuinely believe this, he's going to get kicked out of Judgment Day. Or, he could possibly, maybe if Seth Rollins and Finn Balor ever run it back and Finn Balor ends up winning the world title, he could possibly cash in on Finn Balor. We're going to have to wait and see, but this is not something that's going to be happening immediately. WWE is really planning this long term, and that's what I like about it. And also, it gives you a reason to watch the show. I love what they're doing with Judgment Day right now. Do I think the idea of Damian Priest getting kicked out of Judgment Day is a little bit too early for the group? Yes. But if they have an ace up their sleeve, which, of course, a lot of people were talking about a guy like J.D. McDonough replacing Damian Priest, honestly, I wouldn't be upset about that whatsoever, but it all depends on what WWE does at the end of the day. So, overall, great stuff. Damian Priest gets the win. Ronda Rousey. Oh, God, she's going to be on the microphone. Ronda Rousey, basically, she has the microphone, and she says as soon as she speaks, she calls out Shayna Baszler. And Shayna Baszler comes out and talks about how she is confident that she speaks for everyone. We are all tired of Ronda Rousey trying to speak on the microphone. Truer words have never been spoken. Ronda Rousey's mic skills are the worst. She sucks. After that, Ronda says, "Tell me why you did what you did. Get in this ring. Give me an explanation." And Shayna immediately calls her a narcissistic person, or a narcissist. She's the only reason why she is standing in a WWE ring. She's owed an apology for bringing her into the business. Shayna says she doesn't recall her, building rings in front of 30 people. And, of course, unlike her, she paid her dues. She scratched out and clawed to get to where she is, when she walked straight into WrestleMania. Believe it or not, she actually loves this business. But she has ruined it for her, and of course, she owes her an apology, and she, of course, owes her the sobering reality that someone can, finally shut her up. After that, Ronda Rousey immediately gets pissed and goes for a kick. Ronda goes for the takedown on Shayna, but then she sends Shayna into the ring, and then she applies the sleeper. And then Shayna takes her down and then applies the ankle lock. Ronda gets the rope, and then we get a running knee by Shayna. And when I tell you this running knee was crazy, this was a crazy running knee. Like, I will say this, Ronda sold that shit like $1 million. But, of course, Ronda retreats to the outside, and that was that. I thought this was a great segment. Do I think a storyline between Shayna and Ronda is well overdue? Yes. But it gives something for Shayna Baszler to do. And if the rumors are true that Ronda Rousey is definitely going to be on her way out of WWE, that is definitely the best way to write off Ronda Rousey for Shayna Baszler to beat Ronda Rousey. But I will say this. Ronda Rousey, I don't give a shit what anybody says. Her recent run, in WWE, dating back to January of last year all the way up to now, has been absolutely atrocious. Nothing memorable coming out of that run. Her mic skills were absolutely ridiculous. Like, if you look at those first few promos by Ronda Rousey when she came back and won the Royal Rumble last year, they were just so bad. So bad. It was not even funny. And honestly, with Shayna Baszler basically calling Ronda Rousey out on that shit, it's hilarious because, it's absolutely true. But it gives direction for Shayna Baszler because Shayna Baszler has been doing absolutely nothing. You could say she's been teaming up with Ronda Rousey, but let's be honest with ourselves. They're doing nothing with the tag team division and the women's division, so let's just move on from that shit. But overall, not a bad segment whatsoever. Alpha Academy is backstage. Maxine Dupri is ready for her match tonight. There's going to be some fireworks. She's tired of the Viking Raiders underestimating Coach Gable. After that, we got a tag team turmoil match. We got Sonya Deville and Chelsea Green taking on Tegan Nox and Dana Brooke. Yeah, Tegan Nox and Dana Brooke, two women that haven't even been on television in a while. And, of course, Dana Brooke, I believe she was on NXT and she got booed out of the Performance Center. After that, we got Emma and Nikki Cross, Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell, and Kaden Carter and Katana Chance. This match, I don't give a shit what anybody says, served nothing of importance. I believe this was a number one contendership for the women's tag team titles. Again, titles that are absolutely useless. We had Tegan Nox and Dana Brooke as a tag team. Think about that. Tegan Nox and Dana Brooke. We had Emma and Nikki Cross. At least they give an explanation as to why they are teaming up together. It's because of the fact that Candice LeRae is teaming up with Indy Hartwell. And, of course, they have history regarding the way. And, yeah. But, really, the only good thing that I could say about this match was Katana Chance and Kaden Carter. Out of all the women's tag teams that WWE has right now in the women's division, Kaden Carter and Katana Chance are phenomenal. I love them. They're really good. That Hurricane Rana spot that happened in the match, one of the smoothest Hurricane Rana spots I've ever seen in my life. After that, we got Katana Chance and Kaden Carter. Actually, Katana Chance and, no, Indy Hartwell and Chelsea Green start. My bad. My notes are fucked up. Indy's in control. She picks up Sonya Deville, and basically, we get a cover by Candice, and we get a near fall. We get a kick by Chelsea Green taking Indy to the outside, but then we get a springboard moonsault by Candice LeRae. Green tags in. We get the running kick by Sonya, and then we get a cover by Green, and Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell get eliminated. Nikki Cross and Emma are next. And what happens is Nikki goes absolutely crazy. She tags in Emma, and then Nikki Cross goes to the outside and asks Candice LeRae if she's okay. We then get a dropkick and a cover by Emma and a near fall. She throws around Chelsea Green across the ring, and then she flattens Green with, I don't even know what the hell I wrote over here. We get a cover and a near fall when Sonya, slides her off. After that, Emma goes for a right on Sonya, and then we get a right hand by Green. Green ends up going for the Russian leg sweep. Green goes for the unprettier, or I should say, the what was the name that Corey Graves stated? It was the unpretty her. That's what Corey Graves stated. Instead of calling it the unprettier, he called it the unpretty her. So the unpretty her by Green. And then we get a cover. We get a running knee by Sonya, and we get a cover, and Nikki Cross and Emma get eliminated. Dana Brooke and Tegan Nox are next. Both Nox and Brooke drop down Green. We get a very bad, and this was a very bad spot, very bad double sliding dropkick by Dana Brooke and Tegan Nox. Once we're back from break, Dana Brooke and Tegan Nox gets eliminated. Nobody cares. Then Kaden Carter and Katana Chance are next. They were the highlights, of course, of this entire tag team turmoil match. Carter goes for a kick. We get a cover into near fall. We get a double team by Chance and Carter. Then we get a double team by Chelsea Green and Sonya Deville. We get a cover into near fall. Sonya goes for repeated body shots into the corner. Green tags in. We get a boot by Gable. Carter goes for the blind tag. We get a right hand by Carter. Then Green sends Candice to the outside. She goes up to the second rope. She tries to suplex Green, but then Green goes up. Then after that, Katana Chance goes for the blind tag. Then Chance goes for a beautiful Hurricane Rana on Chelsea Green. And when I tell you, this was one of the highest Hurricane, like, it was fucking crazy. This Hurricane Rana spot, like, the way she hit it, smooth as hell. They try to go for the after party, but then Sonya Deville gets involved. Green then tries to go for the unprettier, but then we get a roll-up by Carter and a near fall. Sonya goes for the cheap shot. Chelsea Green goes for the unprettier or the unpretty her or the kill switch, whatever you want to call it. We get a cover, and Sonya and Chelsea Green win the match, and they will challenge Raquel Rodriguez and Liv Morgan for the WWE Women's Tag Team Championships. This match served, I know it's a number one contendership match, but this match really served no purpose. You know, if you want to do a tag team turmoil match, at least make it matter. The fact that, you know, the biggest problem that I feel like they have, and it's not with the women's, it is with the women's division and the fact that there's a lack of tag teams, but it's the fact that they have a lot of makeshift tag teams, and AEW is doing this with the Blind Eliminator tournament, which to an extent I get it, but at the same time I don't get it. Like, what is the point of having two random guys like team together and make them a tag team? Like, if you want to do it, just do it for storyline purposes, and that's what they're basically doing with MJF and Adam Cole. But with the women's tag team division, like, there's nothing. Like, you got Tegan Nox and Dana Brooke. Like, what is the establishment there? There's no establishment with those teams whatsoever. You know, Indy Hartwell and Candice LeRae at least make sense because they're a part of the way. But, like, bro, like, the biggest problem that I have with this turmoil match is the fact that they did not really have almost everybody shine. They rushed through this whole match, and that is the biggest problem I have. The only people that shined, in my opinion, were Sonya Deville and Chelsea Green and Kaden Carter and Katana Chance. That is it. We got a video package with Bronson Reed. He asks, you want to know where he got fear? Of course, you want to know what he has? He has fear. Someone disrespects him, they get hurt, they challenge him, he destroys them. He talks about how he is a nice guy, and sooner or later, you know, someone will sit down with consequences, and Bronson Reed is inescapable. After that, we got a Becky Lynch segment. Of course, Becky Lynch has the mic, and she says, the man has come around to Baltimore. Well, she didn't win Money in the Bank. That is okay because she can move on from that. There's only one thing that she can't move on, and that is the thorn in her side, the sound singing from her ear, that is Trish Stratus. But she can't think of a better time or place to end this right here and right now, so she calls out Trish Stratus for a fight. Of course, Trish Stratus comes out. She takes a while, but she comes out. Trish Stratus, of course, has some protective. She has this protective face masks. Of course, this is shades from like 2004 because she had the same thing. Becky then laughs in her face, and then Trish says, "You think this is funny? You know, it's very funny, Lynch. You shut up because she isn't prettier than all of us, of course, even in this mask. You all need a mask to hide from all of that ugliness." And she would love to indulge her request, and however, she isn't medically cleared because she broke her face. Becky then says, if she can't fight her, why don't you send her lapdog Zoe to fight her right here and right now? And then, of course, Trish mentions her dominant performance at Money in the Bank. And maybe one day, Zoe Starks will be better than Trish Stratus, but currently no one is better than her because she is the greatest of all time. Becky says she remembers she couldn't beat her on her own. She remembers Zoe coming out and hitting her with the Z360. Why is that? It seems like she isn't the GOAT, and she is. If Zoe wants, to get better, she has to go through her because we all know she won't stick around. She's only here to grab the little bit of the glory. But what happens to Zoe? Wearing some shirt that, she's been wearing for, the next 6 weeks. What will she do? Why is she still here if she doesn't do what she does? She's here because she is the face of the women's division. She hated when two of them would stroll around with people that were excited and they said, "Thank you, Trish." That's exactly what Trish stated. This promo was so bad that I fucked up my notes so badly. She hated that, so much. The irony is that it isn't lost on her, and she tried to break her face. She tried to break the face of the women's division. Now Zoe will break her face. Zoe runs to the ring, but then Trish stops her, and then Trish says, "We actually have a medical appointment," and then she's gonna leave this dump of a place. But how about she keeps her calendar open next week for Zoe Starks. This segment I just did not give a single shit about. I'm tired of this whole Trish Stratus and Becky Lynch feud. It's atrocious. I do not like it. I love Trish Stratus. I think she's amazing. But I do not like the heel work that she's doing. I just don't. I don't know why. Her promos are just not good. I don't like the promos that Trish Stratus are cutting. And I mean that with the utmost respect. Zoe Stark is really getting nothing out of this. She's so talented, but she's getting nothing from this rub from Trish Stratus. And I knew exactly that was the case a couple of weeks ago when Zoe Stark tried to cut a decent promo on Becky Lynch, and Zoe Stark failed miserably at that promo. I will make you famous. That's exactly what Zoe Stark said. What is the whole point of this feud? What really is the whole point of this feud? Honestly, I have no idea. I could honestly care less. I just want to move on from this shit. We get a Cody Rhodes interview. He's asked about what happened tonight, of course, with the return of Brock Lesnar and Cody Rhodes and Brock Lesnar going at it. Of course, tonight is Jackie's first night on Raw. Jackie, of course, is the person that was interviewing Cody Rhodes. He thinks everybody can say, "Hi, Jackie." He is the man of his word. He will be waiting for Brock. Of course, the beast has reared his head. Welcome back, Brock. We aren't done yet. Brock Lesnar broke his arm. He busted his face. There's no way that they can coexist on Monday Night Raw. He wants another shot at Brock Lesnar. He will. He will fight him any night, or in this case, he will fight him every night. So yeah, he didn't say when, but we all know it's going to happen at SummerSlam. We got the Viking Raiders with Vahala taking on Alpha Academy with Maxine Dupri. I could care less about this match as well. I mean, how many times have we been seeing the Viking Raiders and Alpha Academy wrestle each other in different forms of matches almost every week on the show? But I will say, the one positive I can say about this is, and it really has to do with this match, was how over Alpha Academy is. Look, I'll admit, man, Alpha Academy is great. They are very entertaining. Chad Gable is hilarious. Otis, look at that face. Fantastic. And even Maxine. Maxine is great, too. I'll give it that. Maxine, say what you want about Maxine Dupri, but she is doing everything that she can to really get her gimmick with the Alpha Academy over. And so far, in my opinion, it's paying off. So we got a roll-up by Gable on Eric. After that, Eric goes for a takedown on Gable. At this point, Eric is in control. He picks up Gable, and then Gable lands on his feet. Otis tags in. We get a slam by Otis, and then we get a splash on Eric into the corner. Otis goes for the worm, and then he ends up hitting the elbow drop. And once we're back from break, the Raiders get taken down by Otis. Gable tags in. We get a rolling neck breaker by Gable. We get an exploder suplex on Eric by Gable, and then he goes to the second rope. Ivar goes to the top rope, but then we get a headbutt by Gable. Gable goes for a facebuster on Ivar, and then he sends Eric to the outside. And then we get a cannonball into the outside, and then we get a flying headbutt by Gable. And then we get a cover into near fall when Eric makes the save. And then we get a knee by Eric, but then we get a series of spot exchanges when Eric makes the save. And after that, actually no, spot exchanges by both teams. I mispronounced that. Vahala and Maxine tag in. Maxine is on a roll. She hits a suplex. She goes for the thank you, and she takes down Vahala. Maxine does the worm, or the caterpillar, whatever you want to call it. She ends up hitting a knee. No, she gets hit with a knee. Gable goes for a moonsault on the outside. Maxine with the roll-up on Vahala. And she gets the win. Alpha Academy and Maxine Dupri get the win. I personally do not like a lot of comedy shit on my wrestling show, but you got to admit, man, Alpha Academy are pretty entertaining. But great win, great match. You either liked it or you didn't. I thought this match was kind of stupid, but you can't deny, I'll even admit they are over. If they are over, they are over, okay? Ricochet goes for the backstage interview. He speaks on Logan Paul. He talks about how, he didn't even belong in the match. And he says, look at the Royal Rumble and look at Money in the Bank. He doesn't respect the fact that he got in his face, but it wasn't Logan's night, and he likes to issue a challenge. Next week on Raw, he meets him in the ring face to face. Probably building towards a match at SummerSlam. That's what I definitely see happening. After that, we got Rhea Ripley versus Natalya for the WWE Women's World Championship. You guys know my thoughts on Rhea Ripley. I think Rhea Ripley is doing phenomenal work in Judgment Day. I think the best decision for Rhea Ripley's career, the best decision for the direction of Rhea Ripley's career was for her to join Judgment Day. Because if she hadn't joined Judgment Day, honestly, I do not think she would have recovered by a lot of the stuff that she was doing, in my opinion, at least. So Judgment Day and the work that Rhea Ripley has been doing in Judgment Day with Dominik and everybody else has been phenomenal. Now, that said, the title reign itself with Rhea Ripley, ever since she beat Charlotte at WrestleMania, WWE has done nothing with their title reign. She had a match with Zelina Vega, great. And then all of a sudden she's in a feud with Natalya that honestly makes Natalya look more stupid than, I don't want to say that she already is, because she's not. But let's be honest, and I even stated this before, Natalya is she's completely irrelevant in 2023. And the feud that Natalya is having with Rhea Ripley, to me, just, I don't know. For me, it screams damn, they really got nothing for Rhea Ripley. I'm not complaining Rhea Ripley's work in Judgment Day, because that is a separate thing. But the title reign itself, for me, WWE hasn't really done a good job on making Rhea Ripley's title reign as important as it should be. That's my opinion right there. But the match that Rhea Ripley and Natalya had on this show, I thought was great. It was probably one of the best things on the show, in my opinion. Was it the best match ever? No. And out of all the weeks of making Natalya look dumb and stupid, Natalya actually looked strong in this match. She actually looked strong in this match. And there were times in this match where I was like, Jesus Christ, they're actually going forward with this whole feud. Natalya attacks Rhea when she makes her entrance. She sends her to the steel steps, and then she takes her back into the ring. At this point, the bell rings. Natalya goes for the takedown. We get repeated rights by Natalya. She applies the sharpshooter. Rhea escapes to the outside. Natalya runs into a right, but then Natalya gets sent to the announce table. Once we're back into the ring, Natalya goes for a German, and then we get a right hand by Natalya. She proceeds to pick up Rhea Ripley, but then Rhea goes for a shot to the back of Natalya. We then get a shot again onto the back of Natalya, and then we get a third shot to the back. And then after that, Natalya fights back. Natalya gets caught by Rhea with her legs into the corner. She ends up hitting a headbutt, and then we get a cover by Rhea and a near fall. We then get a slap by Rhea, and then Rhea goes and tells Natalya to suck that. We then get a kick by Rhea. Then we get a kick to the chest of Natalya. Natalya then goes for a series of rights and lefts. After that, we get a third kick by Rhea. Rhea then takes Natalya to the top. Then she hits a right, and then we get a headbutt by Natalya, and then we get a crossbody. And after that, both women goes for a series of exchanges. After that, we get a cover into near fall. Once we're back from commercial break, Natalya gets hit with the kick. Rhea then picks up Natalya. Natalya goes for the head scissors. Natalya then goes for the discus lariat. After that, we get a cover and a kick out. We get a boot by Rhea. We then get a drop kick off the top by Rhea, and then we get a cover by Rhea and a near fall. Rhea then applies the prism lock. Natalya escapes and sends her to the middle rope, but then we get a takedown by Natalya. She tries to basically apply the sharpshooter, but then gets driven face first onto the turnbuckle. We get a stomp by Rhea. Rhea goes to the top, basically dedicating this victory to Dom Dom, basically doing the whole Eddie Guerrero shtick. And then she misses the dropkick, getting hit with the boot. After that, Rhea gets sent to the post. Then she picks up Rhea, and then she slams her down with a running power slam. She applies the sharpshooter. Rhea makes it to the ropes, and then once Rhea makes it back into the ring, we get a kick by Rhea. Rhea ends up going for the headbutt. And then what happens is Rhea goes for the riptide. We get a cover, and Rhea retains the Women's World Championship. After the match, Rhea attacks Natalya, and then she headbutts and gives her a right hand. And what happens is Raquel Rodriguez and Liv Morgan come in for the save. Again, I thought this feud with Rhea Ripley and Natalya, made no sense whatsoever, because it gave me the sense of all people that you're going to have Rhea Ripley feud with, you have her feud with Natalya of all people. Natalya of all people. Creatively, there's nothing of importance that they are doing with Natalya. But I will say, what they did with this match was great. They really try to make Natalya look strong in this match, even though they really didn't make her look strong in the previous times that they booked this match. But still, I feel like they try to turn chicken shit into chicken salad with this scenario. But again, can we move on from this whole feud between Natalya and Rhea Ripley? Because in my opinion, Rhea Ripley deserves better when it comes towards not only competition, but really better, I don't want to say creative, because what she's doing with Judgment Day is phenomenal stuff. But in terms of her title reign alone, we need to put her in much more important feuds. Really. We need to put her in feuds that honestly matter. And I feel like the feud that she's having right now with Natalya just doesn't matter. Miz is backstage. Talks about how, Ciampa doesn't care that he has the high card. Basically talks about how he is unbeatable. He is the unbeatable Royal Flush. You want to talk about him losing? The last person that called him a coward, of course, is gone. He's mentioning, of course, Bryan Danielson. He is still here. He is the real winner, and he does have to speak in his eye. Next week, he wants to bring that chip in his shoulder. He wants the best version of Ciampa because he will fight the best version of The Miz. The match will be no DQ because he is The Miz, and he is awesome. After that, we got Rhea Ripley backstage. She runs into Io Sky, and Io is like, see you later. And then Rhea says, try me, because it will be the biggest mistake of your life. And then Dominik, Mysterio, and Priest come in. She's pissed that Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez came into her business, and she says that they will regret it. After that, we got Matt Riddle taking on Giovanni Vinci. A relatively short match, but that wasn't really the story of the whole match. We get a kick to the chest of Vinci. We get a springboard crossbody by Vinci. Then after that, he stomps on Riddle. He works on the ankle of Riddle, and then he gets caught by Riddle. We then get an overhead kick by Riddle, and then Riddle stands up and then gets caught by Vinci. He picks him up, and then he rolls him up with a rolling senton, and then we get a moonsault off the top by Giovanni Vinci. We then get a cover and a near fall. After that, we get a knee by Riddle, but then Vinci applies the ankle lock. We then get a roll up by Riddle, and he ends up winning the match. But Ludwig Kaiser comes in, and Imperium attack Matt Riddle. Then Drew McIntyre. Yes, Drew McIntyre, after making his return at Money in the Bank. We get a headbutt by Drew, and then he targets Gunther, and then he ends up hitting the Claymore on Giovanni Vinci. We then get a backstage interview with Drew McIntyre and Matt Riddle. Of course, Drew says he is back, and Riddle says he wants to team up and take out Imperium. And it sounds like a hell of a first match back, says Drew, and they should get some pints and jimmies now, and then, of course, we'll team up next week. So it looks like we're going to be getting Drew McIntyre and Matt Riddle taking on Imperium next week, which is going to be a phenomenal match. After that, we got the main event. We got Seth Rollins and Dominik Mysterio. Of course, they wrestled in a one-on-one match. This was a really good match. Dominik, of course, great in the ring. Promo-wise, he's not the best, but the work he's doing with Judgment Day is great, and of course, he is a heat magnet. I wouldn't necessarily call him the best heel in the business, but he is a great heat magnet. But overall, not a bad match. Of course, Seth Rollins got the win. The crowd, of course, is singing the song of Seth Rollins. We get a side headlock takeover by Seth. Then we get a kick by Dominik, and then we get a side headlock takeover by Dominik, and then we get the shoulder tackle by Dominik. Shoulder tackle by Rollins, but then Rollins goes for a series of body shots. He sends Dominik to the outside, but then Rhea is on the apron, but then Dominik gets taken to the outside. Dominik is on the apron, but then he drives his knee on Dominik. He faces off with Damian Priest. And once we're back from break, Seth Rollins mocks Dominik. I wouldn't necessarily say mock Dominik, but Dominik tries to do this all the time in his matches. Seth Rollins goes for the Three Amigos. After that, Seth goes to the top. Rhea Ripley distracts the referee, but then Damian Priest pushes Seth off. And then Dominik goes to the top. He gets a frog splash. He stomps after Seth Rollins, and then Dominik goes to the top. Dominik ends up going for the frog splash after that. He goes for repeated stomps on Seth Rollins. He goes to the top once again, but then we get the frog splash by Dominik, but Seth gets the knees up. Rollins goes for repeated clotheslines. We get a series of strikes by Rollins. He goes for a series of elbows on Dominik into the corner. Once we're back from break, he drives his knee on Dominik. We get a kick by Rollins. He sets up the pedigree, but then Damian Priest comes in. Then Rollins sets Dominik to the outside, or I should say sends Dominik to the outside. We get a tope suicida on both Dominik and Priest. Seth sends Dominik back into the ring, and we get a rolling elbow by Dom, and then an elbow onto the back of the neck of Dominik. Priest then comes in and causes a disqualification. Then Priest comes in and hits the South of Heaven. So this match ends in a DQ, and he hits repeated rights. He sends Rollins to the outside, and then what happens is Rollins goes to the steps, and then he sends him to the announce table, and then to the barricade, and he goes for repeated rights. After that, he flatlines Seth face first onto the announce table and exposes the announce table. Rollins escapes the Razor's Edge attempt, and then he ends up hitting the super kick. And then Seth tries to go for the powerbomb, but then Dominik sends him to the steel steps. And then he sends him back into the ring. And Dominik, yes, Dominik, gives Damian Priest the briefcase. So what happens is he gives Damian Priest the briefcase, and he tells Priest, cash it in. He should cash it in right now. Priest, of course, goes into the ring. It looks like he's about to cash in, but Finn Balor comes in out of nowhere, and he takes out Seth Rollins. Then, after he took out Seth Rollins, Priest looks pissed off. Then after that, both Priest and Balor argue, and Dominik is in the middle of it. And what happens is Rollins escapes, and he takes down Dominik, and then he leaves, and the show ends with Balor and Priest arguing. Overall, this was a great ending to Raw this week. I love the story that they're telling with Damian Priest and Finn Balor. Tension when it comes to a lot of factions tends to be overdone in my opinion, but when it comes to this, the story makes sense. Finn Balor wants to go after the World Heavyweight Championship, but then Damian Priest won the Money in the Bank. Balor a couple of weeks ago told Priest, hey, you're not going to cash in on me, are you? And, of course, what happened at Money in the Bank, Damian Priest came in. It cost Balor the match. All this stuff is great. But is Damian Priest going to be cashing in now? No. If you think about it, he has a whole year. But, of course, he's going to be cashing in when the time is right. Because when the time is right, the impact of the cash-in will be huge. But it's not going to happen now. WWE, and their motto when it comes to stories like this is, let's wait long term. That's the biggest takeaway that I can give you from this. They're definitely going to be waiting long term. How long? How many months? I have no idea. But that is great to see. And also, aside from all the shit that is going on with the Bloodline right now, this is probably the second best story that is going on in WWE today. Because, again, it gives a reason for the viewer to be invested. And not only that, the ongoing story with Finn Balor and Damian Priest, we could be seeing a new member of Judgment Day later on down the line. But yeah, that was my Raw review from July 3rd, 2023. Overall thoughts on this show. I thought it was a fine show, not the best show, but it wasn't a bad show. Definitely some storyline developments regarding Judgment Day. Of course, Seth Rollins, we do not know who he's going to be challenging for SummerSlam. I would assume it's definitely going to be SummerSlam for Finn Balor, but we're going to have to wait and see. Especially if it's SummerSlam, what role does Damian Priest is going to be playing? But we're going to have to wait and see. We do know we're going to be getting Brock Lesnar versus Cody Rhodes 3. It's not officially announced, but from what happened on this show, it looks like we're definitely going to be getting it at SummerSlam. But yeah, that was my Raw review from July 3rd, 2023. Please like, subscribe, comment down below. Push that bell for notifications. I'm on the lookout for more videos right here on the WrestleHavoc Podcast, in which we discuss everything in and outside of the squared circle. Make sure to like and subscribe for more content. And, as the freaking referee would say, ring, ring, ring that damn bell for more notifications. And as always, it is Flamin' Rick, Ricky DeRays, signing out. I'll see you guys later. Peace.